Hey everyone, I'm rebranding my channel. No longer is it going to be No BS Survival. Now it's going to be Adrian's stuff. With whatever I decide to put after it. That might change. I still want to do survival videos, but I want to branch out into more things. I still want to do wilderness self-reliance videos and survival videos based out in the wilderness. But I also want to do more urban survival as well as doomsday prepping. But I also want to do wilderness doomsday survival, like training myself and trying to develop the skills that if society as we knew it collapsed, that it could potentially survive in the wilderness. That's something that's always fascinated me. I've always wanted to learn more about that kind of thing. I still want to practice and learn more primitive skills and do bushcraft, but I also want to do a series where I teach my girlfriend survival skills and wilderness skills and prepping and all that kind of stuff. So I can cover more of the basic stuff because I'm teaching her, and it should be a fun experience, something we can do together as a couple, but it should also be interesting. It should be fun. I'm really looking forward to teaching my girlfriend how to start a fire and all that cool stuff. She's actually into prepping a bit. I remember it was my turn to pick something to watch, and so I decided I'd put on Doomsday Preppers. I wasn't sure how she would react to it, but as soon as I put it on, she went, "Oh, I like that." I went, "The show or Doomsday Prepping?" She replied, "Both." So yeah, I was pretty happy. I also want to do videos on bug out food, comparing different foods for bug out bags and, pros and cons of different ones, as well as, it can be for bugging out, it could be for camping, but, kind of want to get into doing a series on that as well. I also want to do more bush cooking, if I can find a place to do it. I also want to do post-apocalyptic cooking, trying to create nice meals and cook nice things with stuff that's easily stored or could be grown. But, trying to put together a whole heap of recipes that you could, cook in a post-apocalyptic situation when you've just got your stored food, or what you can grow in the garden, or what you can hunt or fish or gather. That would be a fun project, and that's something I want to do. I also want to try and have a go at making foods that don't exist in the real world or don't really exist. I really want to have a go at cooking some Soylent, but a green one, because it would be Soylent Green. Yes, I have a sense of humour. I'd also like to have a go at cooking imitations of foods from post-apocalyptic media, such as the foods from the Fallout game series. I'm nerdy, yeah. But I also just would like to do some just in general cooking. I cook some unusual stuff, but it's well received by everyone. I've got some of my own recipes I've been working on. Some of them are a bit crazy, some of them just taste delicious, but I'd love to share them with you, if there's an interest. I also want to do blacksmithing videos. I've gotten into blacksmithing. I've been blacksmithing for about 3 years. I've been making armor for a bit longer than that. I absolutely love it. I want to do more videos on blacksmithing. Hopefully do some blacksmithing tutorials. I also want to do bladesmithing. Yes, knife making, but why do knives when you can do swords? Swords are so much cooler. I mean, yeah, let's forge some swords. I also want to practice traditional Japanese swordsmithing techniques and traditional Japanese forging techniques, as well as post-apocalyptic forging techniques. Trying to forge with recycled materials, not using modern conveniences like arc welders or borax. Making tools, making survival tools, making my own survival gear, making my own cooking gear. That kind of stuff would be great. I'd love to make a fish hook. I'd love to make a mess kit or some cooking gear. I'd love to make all kinds of self-reliant related equipment. If you've got any ideas, please leave a comment. If you've got any requests, let me know. I want to make my own axes and stuff. I would really love to have a go at recreating some historical wilderness tools, such as making copies of historical large knives that were used around the wilderness, such as various types of traditional machetes and large knives. We've got a few at a museum I do blacksmithing at. I really need to get around to talking to someone about getting the measurements of them. There's even a machete bayonet I want to have a go at recreating. It's a bolo bayonet from Australia. I want to have a go at trying to recreate that blade profile and have a see how would that perform out in the wilderness. I want to, and maybe make some other traditional large wilderness knives from the Viking era saxes, the Japanese nata, and the other variations. Some brush hooks, again European, kukris, bolos, parangs, pangas, all that kind of stuff. I also really want to have a go at recreating Nusmic's pocket axe. He describes this in Nusmic's book. He describes this tiny, really tiny little axe, and I want to have a go at recreating it. It was a custom one for him. I want to have a go at recreating it, trying out the bush, having a go with it. It seems like something that would be really useful. I want to make tomahawks and stuff like that. I also want to make a lot more videos on armor and making armor. I absolutely love making armor. I'm working on a project now where I'm trying to cover every last inch of me in plate, except for eyes and breathing holes. I've worked out how to do underneath the armpit, inside the arm bend, and it's a real passion of mine. Some other armoring projects I'd love to have a go at is I would love to recreate the Space Marine armor from Warhammer 40k, but I would make it to be a non-powered suit of armor. Obviously, I don't know the robotics or how to do that kind of stuff. If there's anyone watching this in Queensland who reckons they could make the powered side of that, let me know, because I could probably make the plates. But I want to take that design, that aesthetic, and reproportion it to work as a functional suit of plate armor made in a more medieval or Renaissance style. So, reshape. And to see how that would work. I also want to make my girlfriend a suit of armor. We've been talking about for ages. I really want to make her a really artistic suit of plate armor, but it's also an experiment in making a female suit of armor that would be practical to the best of my abilities. I also would like to make a Neo-Roman suit of armor, which is like a theoretical suit of armor of what Roman lorica segmentata could have evolved into if it had continued to evolve and became a form of full plate, possibly with manicas down the arms, and that's a video for itself. I would also like to make a few suits of survival armor. It's a really interesting concept to me, and I would love to have a go making a suit of armor that is really quiet, preferably silent, that is stealthy. Probably a camouflaged suit of light plate armor that makes as little noise as possible, as kind of like a wilderness survival suit of armor. Just as something that seems really fun to me. It's a project I would love to have a go at doing. Kind of a post-apocalyptic jungle full plate armor. Sounds really cool to me. I'd like to do some videos on history and historical objects, like either events or the objects and bits and pieces involved, especially anything to do with medieval stuff and armor and swords and stuff. I want to do some stuff on like the evolution of the metallurgy and the evolution of sword designs and the process of making swords. I really want to do a video on the truth about katanas and the truth about them being bimetallic and what that really means. That's going to be a very controversial video because I'm basically going to tell almost everybody that what they believe about katanas is actually the exact opposite of the reality. And that's to do with the bimetallic nature of them and its history in relation to other swords around the world. I also want to do videos on antiques. I'd love to both show off antiques that I own, as well as antiques in other people's collections, and of course go to antique stores. I want to focus on stuff like antique tools, antique weapons, antique outdoor equipment, obviously antique knives, antique swords, and all kinds of weapons, as well as primitive and indigenous or tribal artifacts from around the world that I find interesting, especially their hunting equipment, their day-to-day equipment, their what we might call survival equipment, stuff like that. But I would also like to contact other collectors and possibly go through their collections. I got to hold a 16th century or possibly 1600s katana yesterday. Actually, I got to handle a lot of old antique katanas yesterday, and one of them was so beautiful I almost wanted to cry. So I'm gonna hopefully talk to some people, possibly see if we can organise me showing off some of their really awesome antiques on video. I reckon that would be an awesome project. I would also like to get back into leathercraft, especially making stuff out of crocodile leather. I just love crocodile leather and anything with scales. It's probably just my inner child that still absolutely loves dinosaurs, and yes, I know the dinosaurs that I love the most were probably covered in feathers, like the T-Rex and raptors, but I grew up thinking that dinosaurs were covered in scales, and I loved that look, and it's stuck with me, so I just love reptile leather. I'm looking forward to making stuff out of reptile leather. So I want to make all kinds of stuff decorated with crocodile leather and probably teeth or any other kind of reptile leather I can get, or even simply imitation reptile leather, because it just looks so cool. I want to make artistic ferrule rods, both with crocodile leather and without crocodile leather and without crocodile teeth. Getting a bit artistic with some of our outdoor equipment and modifying it and making it our own and making it beautiful. That's something I'd love to get into doing a bit more of. I would also like to do blacksmith and survivalist reviews of other videos on YouTube, as well as other channels on YouTube, as well as giving my recommendations of things that I think that you might be interested in if you share my interests. I would also like to start doing reviews on books related to my interests, blacksmithing, survival, history, movies, video games, documentaries, anything that I find really interesting or fascinating that I would like to share or think that people who also share my interests might also find interesting. I'd really like to start sharing my recommendations and reviewing. Probably going to be more in line with recommendations videos than an actual review. Alright everyone, if you have any questions or anything else you would like to see on this channel, please leave a comment down below, and maybe we'll see. Alright everyone, see you.